Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Jan Kaiser. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so we're going to be talking about what is care management and why do we need it. So let's kind of give our listeners a little background and talk about what does a care manager do?
Sure. So a care manager is an advocate for, and I say resident, I guess I was in senior living for so long, I call them residents, is what we call them in communities. But we're just more of an advocate, helping them navigate the healthcare system, navigate the day-to-day in their lives to help them access the necessary services and resources that are available to them as seniors.
And so, well, I'm a huge fan of you guys. So, and because y'all come in really handy in my practice. So I can appreciate everything you do. So,
Yes,
but let's
thank
talk
you.
about when we send clients to care managers, you do a care assessment, and how does that help people plan for their future?
Sure. So the care assessment gives us pretty much a broad picture of what the senior's needs are. Whether they're in their home, they're in the hospital, they're in a senior living community, they can be pretty much anywhere. They can be staying in their children's home. But it gives us an idea of what their needs are day to day, and then also helps us paint a picture for the future. Things change very quickly with seniors. And so if we're ahead of the game, we can also have some decisions made for the future and helping them to be successful.
And so, is it possible for a care manager to help coordinate the services that seniors may need?
Absolutely. We can definitely help coordinate that. And whether it's with the client, with the family, with the discharge planner, with an attorney, we can always help them set the course in action to make sure that we're setting them up for success for their future.
And so, how do you go about when you're let's kind of back up a little bit because I really want to hit this part home.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to us about the assessment itself. Can you give a little more detail about what you do in an assessment so that kind of a little more detail so it really helps our listeners understand how important you are when they're trying to navigate as people get older.
Sure. So what we do in the assessment, so let's just use the home for an example. If I come to your home and I do an assessment, I am looking at your how you can perform your activities of daily living, your ADLs. I'm looking at how successful you're being in the home. Are you thriving in your home or just surviving? Um, we also look at, some of the things we can do is look at, do they have a long-term care insurance? Are there benefits if they're VA eligible? Are they using those VA benefits? I can tell you with my father-in-law, we had no idea he was paying out of pocket for caregivers. And we found out that the caregivers that we were using, the company was certified through the VA. And we were able to go back. We didn't get back paid, but we were able to get him signed up and be able to be reimbursed for the care services that he's needing through the VA. So that was such an eye opener to me, that there are services out there that we're just not taking advantage of. And so it gives us an idea of whether they are VA, they have long-term care. If you have say a Medicare Advantage plan, you get $60 a quarter that you can use for over-the-counter medications, assistive devices, things like that you have no idea sometimes because the whole process is so overwhelming. And so you've lost every quarter you lose $60 even on a Medicare Advantage plan that you could be using to help pay for things that you probably didn't have any idea that was there. So
And so, see, that's the kind of stuff I wanted my listeners to be able to appreciate, is that the knowledge that you guys bring to the table that really helps them. And so, but what about clients that are in the middle of a crisis? And so, how do you help them then?
Sure. So, I can speak from personal experience on that. My mom had a stroke 5 weeks ago, and there's so much involved in that. And she was 400 miles away from me. And so you're trying to, navigate your life in Texas and navigate her life in Louisiana. There's a lot of emotions involved in that. And, even though I've been in healthcare for 35 years, it hits home with you and life becomes very different and you are kind of in a fog. And so that's where a care manager comes in. My best friend was with me. She's also a senior living administrator, executive director. And so she was there. Even though she's not my care manager, she kind of acted as a care manager and said, you need to step back for a second because your emotions are overtaking you. And let's think about this. And so that's how a care manager can help when those emotions are so high, and your emotions are just overwhelming you. We're able to help you step back and see the whole picture, take notes, listen to what the healthcare team is saying, and just help be an advocate to walk you through that and to make sure that we set the senior up for success, whether it's leaving the hospital, coming home, whether it's going to a skilled nursing facility, whether it's going to an assisted living or a memory care, whatever the need may be, or just in-home services, we can help walk through that and set them up for success.
I think I hate to say this, but I think it helps when you have personal experience, because it really puts you in the body of a client, so to speak. You
Yes.
can appreciate what the
Yes.
family goes to and things like that. And I'm sorry you had to learn that way because that's not a good way to learn.
Well,
And
I told my husband and my best friend, I said, I think sometimes I sounded a little stupid when I was in senior living because we get so used to saying things and having the knowledge. But when I had to sit back and watch that unfold before me, and people have great hearts and they meant things very well said, but it's just you sit back and you go, yeah, no, that now I understand. I understand that that's not quite what a daughter wanted to hear, or, that's not quite the route that we wanted to take. And so it has definitely caused me to listen more. I think when you're in senior care for so long, sometimes maybe your heart gets a little solid because it's to protect yourself. And so I've had to learn to open that heart up again so I can listen a little more and not just protect those emotions. So, yeah.
And so I laugh and tell clients a lot. I had to learn a lot about elder law in my practice, but I had to learn it the hard way.
Yes.
Before it was even a thing, I'm learning how to do all of these things the hard way. So,
Yes.
but I think it makes me a better elder law attorney because I've already been there. I've already had to
Yes.
do the things that that no one wants to ever have to be put in a position to do. And so,
Exactly.
but tell our listeners, so if they need you, we want them to call you, talk to you. And so what's the cost as far as, for care management services? Can you kind of talk about the assessment and maybe ongoing type services? How does that work?
Sure. So the cost is dependent on the assessment, and really it depends on what the family needs. I mean, if they're just, let's say that you live out of state, out of the country, or you're just going on a vacation and you need someone to manage that care. Well, that could be, you may just want me to go to a community once a month just to make sure that mom or dad has things going well. Or they're having a hard time adjusting. So you may want me to go weekly. It could be that they're in their home, or you want me to meet them at a doctor's appointment, so we can make sure that everything is in place. It really is a case by case, and depending on the need. For example, I have a case that I picked up this week that the daughter's a school teacher, and there's a lot of complex things going on with the mom and the dad, and we've worked together a lot through the summer. But now I'm more active in the case because the daughter's going back to school. And so it's just a matter of going to the assisted living and visiting them, making sure their long-term care insurance is getting filed. So different things like that I can just be that advocate and fill in the gap for families, especially when they're really busy.
And so perfect. And so, for our listeners who are sitting here, listening to this going, wow, I need to hire Jan. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can reach me at 832 276-3757. My website is www.whenseasonschange.com, or they can email me at jan@whenseasonschange.com.
And so, Jan, I just wanted to thank you so much for being on the show, and we look forward to
Okay.
having you on again soon.
Yes, thank you so much, and have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.